What's up, everybody? Dotzy's back at it again. Shield charge Judgeadin. I'm not a namer, but it works. It's quite literally exactly as it sounds. I'm not gonna hit the training center right yet. Let's dive into some gear. So starting off with gear, we've got the Air Perdition. You're gonna want this in crit. We don't necessarily need the core skills for this specific build. However, the runes, you're gonna need Igni and Thul. The reason we need Thul is for freeze and vulnerable. Huge buffs here. For the Shroud of False Death, we're going to be running Neo Lum. That's going to give us primary resource back. Dawnfire gloves. Can't have an Orden style without the Dawnfires. I know what you're going to say. Well, of course it's good. You got a 4 GA. You literally only need it GA'd in Holy Light Aura. If you get it multiple GA'd like I did, great. If not, it is not the end of the world. For the pants, you need Indomitable, Strength, Max Life, Armor, Resistance, ranks to 1 guard. For your boots, you're going to want Wild Bowl as the aspect. Now, my boots are not best in slot. You'll want Strength, Max Life, Faith per second, and Armor. If you can get Armor instead of movement speed and not be a dummy and Sanctify before you do that, you'll be better off than I am currently. Griswold's Opus with Heavyweight, that is going to be the one we're targeting. Herald of Zakram with the armor rank, that's what you want to push it into. So if you got a GA with armor, that's a huge multiplier, as well as the 45x. I don't have a 50. If anyone has a 50 and they don't want it, I'll take it. But until then, I'm going to rock my 45. For the ring, we're going to be using the Holy Punishment aspect with strength, attack speed, and in again, a perfect world, you would have max life instead of cold resistance, and then lucky hit to make vulnerable. Another massive thing to have in the build. If you do not have it, you will experience issues with damage. 100%. You need it. Ring of Starless Skies for pure attack speed, crit, lucky, and core skills. So we're kind of eating up what we lost over here on the Air Perdition. And then for the amulet, you're going to want strength, righteousness, the best offense, and heavyweight. I lucked out. I got a really good pair. I don't have a max aspect yet. And then you're going to want Holy Light Aura Potency on both your amulet and your boots. Those are very important. All right. For our oath, we're going to be using Juggernaut because it is bugged. And you're like, hold on. I thought you said this was a Judgeadin. It is. But we don't need this because 207x is better than 80x. Math. All right, going over the skill tree, we have got Clash, and we're going to come down, we're going to grab On Guard and Riposte, Fanaticism Aura, all the way up to Rite of Vengeance, Defiance Aura to Rite of Might, and Holy Light Aura, and this is probably arguably the most important part of this entire build, is we are not taking Rite of Mercy, because it really doesn't give us any extra damage buckets that we can pull from, but Judgment does. Judgment passively and actively judging with Holy Light Aura. Pair that with the Dawnfires, permanent Judgment. We're going to put 1 rank into shield charge and we're going to turn it into a core skill. This gives us blocking, hits while blocking, retribution chance, damage reduction, better friends, and you'll have better luck in the playoffs if you're a Patriots fan. Sucks to suck if you're not. Then we're going to put 1 into Resolute, 1 into Conviction, 3 into the best offense, 3 into Fortitude, 3 into Crack in the Armor. We're going to max out Righteousness as well. I'm sitting at 13 ranks. 1 into Pacify, 3 into Dizzying Blow, 3 into Iron Sharpens Iron, 3 into Break the Line, and 3 into Heavyweight. I'm capped right now at 15 ranks of Heavyweight. We have Master Craftwork, 3 in, 3 into Shining Armor, and 3 into Giant Slayer. And we are not taking the Judgment passive because we're going to be doing more damage with Coat of Arms. Very important thing to remember. More numbers, more damage. That's just how the math works. As far as Paragon, our first board, we're going to be using Spirit, On the second board, it's going to be the castle node with the law glyph. Now, the reason we're using law is because we're passively judging and actively judging with holy light aura. Judgment damage is magnified through vulnerable and your total all damage before it gets multiplied into the judgment bucket. And then on top of that, whenever we judge an enemy, they take 15x damage for 5 seconds. And if we're consistently judging them, that's a free 15x multiplier that we're getting. For those of you who may want to say, hey, have you tried Seal of the Second Trumpet? I have. We do significantly less damage because we're not actually scaling our judgment damage, but adding it in, right? So we're not trying to make judgment our main damage maker. We're just simply using it as another damage bucket. Make sense? On our third board, we're going to be using Canny for non-physical, which is pretty much where all of our holy and all of our extra damage is coming from. And that's going to be on the shield bearer board. We have that capped out. Then we're heading over to the preacher board, which again, you know, Dotzy, we run preacher. That's what we do. And we're going to have the honed glyph. This is going to give us more faith generation and crit. And then on our last board, it's going to be beacon with Judicator. Judicator again is just going to scale all of our holy and Judicator damage. Holy light order is a Judicator skill, I believe. Yeah, so it is what it is. It's just going to absolutely melt. It's insane. This build is a lot of fun. For your mercenaries, I typically say go with what you feel. But with this build, you're going to want to run Subo as your hired for extra crit damage when you're playing solo, and Variana as your reinforcement for that free attack speed. You can get up to like 30% free attack speed from Variana, from her Bloodthirst. It's a no-brainer. All right, now we're going to head over to Kyovashad. Okay, so we're in the training center. Let's go ahead and put up some dummies, and we're just going to look at some test damage, and then we're going to run a pit. And you just, how this build ramps, pop all of your auras on cooldown and then just hold shield charge. It does all of the heavy lifting for you. As you can see, we're hitting trillions in the training environment you just saw. Now we're going to go ahead. We're going to run a 105 because I feel like that's a good standard for any build, whether it be meta or off meta. 105 is like a pretty good standard. For those of you who are going to want to try and push tower, the highest I've pushed this one is to a 117 so far. I haven't gone super deep, but we're going to go run a 105. Before we go in, we're going to put on our incense. So we're going to put, because right now our attack speed isn't quite capped, and we want to make sure we're maximizing that preacher node. So now we're going to be capped. We're at 80% crit. In a perfect world, you can either get max life or crit on this ring to help offset this. So when in doubt, always check your stats.
This should be interesting.
And now we're just going to run. As you can see, trillions are just flowing. And for argument's sake, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to head to the boss room. So you are going to see a skip in the video, and we're going to jump straight on over to the boss. All right, so discretion, I did get hit by a one shot, so my time is a little bit different. I wasn't paying attention while recording, and I happened to get popped by a one shot. And boss is dead. Now, sometimes it is faster. I did get hit by the poison, so it knocked all of my buffs off. But as you guys can clearly see, this build goes absolutely hard. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play. That's a 105 completed. If you like the build, if you have any questions, if you have any like recommendations for what could potentially make it better, please drop it in the comments. Check me out on Twitch. This is where we do all of our theory crafting live. I'll see you next time. Thanks for coming out.